Hello dear students, hope you are doing well in your home. So today we'll be discussing chapter 5, that is Packing for the Trip, extracted from the novel Three Men in a Boat, written by Jerome K. Jerome. This story is about packing for a trip. We all love to go for a trip during our holidays, and the first thing that comes, the first task that we do after we plan for a trip is packing. So in this story we will see how three friends, they get into trouble while packing for their trips, and it's a comic story, and we'll see how the friends enjoy and make fun of each other's trouble and misery. The characters in the chapters are the narrator himself, Jerome K. Jerome, and his friend Harris and George. Let's dig into the chapter. Three friends, the author, Harris and George, are preparing for a trip by boat on River Thames in England. There were three friends, the author himself, George and Harris. So they decided to, they planned for a trip, a boat trip, to be very specific, a boat trip on the River Thames in England. Thames is a river in England. It's one of the most prominent river of England. Okay, the first paragraph goes on as such. I started the packing. It seemed a longer job than I had thought it was going to be, but I got the bag finished at last and sat on it and strapped it. The first new word we get is strapped. Strapped means to close something with a strap, to be very specific. Now what is a strap? Strap is a piece of cloth or leather or canvas which is used to bind something. Take your watch for example. Your watch will have a leather strap. Your bag will have some leather strap or cloth strap. If you look at the luggage, we will see there are leather strap, right? So strap is something which is used to tie up or bind something, especially in case of luggage. And strap means to close, to bind, to close it, right? So here in the first paragraph we see the narrator was packing the bag, and he has almost finished packing the bag, and he was about to strap it, means he was about to close the luggage, close the suitcase or luggage, whatever, and yeah, he has almost done it. Almost the packing was done. In the first paragraph we see the narrator was alone packing the bag, and he was almost done, and he was about to strap the bag. Aren't you going to put the boots in? Said Harris. And while he was about to strap the bag, or he was done packing, at that time Harris said to the narrator, did you pack those boots? Alright. So that means what? While packing the bag, Harris was observing, or Harris was looking at the narrator, and he was noticing each and every activity of the narrator. And once the narrator is done with the packing, at that very time Harris said to the narrator that, have you packed the boots? Have you packed your boots? Right? This made the narrator very annoyed, because Harris could have said him in the beginning or in the middle, at the time when he has noticed that he didn't pack his bag, but he said it after he finished packing the bag. Now the narrator had to repack, or have to disintegrate his packing, and had to start all over again just to pack the boots again. Had to open the suitcase and repack the bags. The narrator seemed annoyed, and Harris, he was enjoying the misery of the narrator. I looked around and found I had forgotten them. That's just like Harris. He never said a word till I had got the bag shut and strapped, of course. The narrator was annoyed, of course, because Harris could have said it in the beginning, or while he had noticed that he had missed to pack the boot. But it's not. It's just like the way Harris liked to tease the narrator, and he said it after the narrator had strapped the bag. He was annoyed, of course. The narrator was annoyed, of course. I opened the bag and packed the boots in, and then just as I was going to close it, a horrible idea occurred to me. Had I packed my toothbrush, I don't know how it is, but I never do know whether I have packed my toothbrush or not. So he opened the bag, he packed those boots, he kept those boots inside the luggage, and as soon again he was about to strap the bag, he realized, or he was in a confusion, we can say, that whether he packed his toothbrush or not. Now this drove him crazy, right? He was in a confusion that whether he packed his toothbrush or not, because although toothbrush seemed to be a very insignificant item or a very small item, but it has a very key role in a holiday or in a trip or in a vacation, whatever you say, because the first thing we need in the morning during our trip is a toothbrush. So he was confused whether he packed it or not. So he was once again annoyed because he had to go through every item he had packed just to look whether he had packed his toothbrush or not. Now he has to ensure it at any cost, or else this small item can cause a lot of trouble during his trip. So he also mentions the some of his incident which he had faced previously during the trip just because of the toothbrush. In the next paragraph we will learn about those problems. Okay. My toothbrush is a thing that haunts me when I am traveling and makes my life miserable. Miserable. Next word. Miserable. The word miserable means pathetic, problematic, kind of, uncomfortable or problematic, right? This is what miserable means. So he says that the narrator says that during his previous trips, toothbrush, just a mere toothbrush, caused him a lot of misery. It haunts him. He said it haunts him means what? He get scared, right? He gets scared. He gets paranoid on the thought of missing the toothbrush in his luggage. It makes his life miserable. I dream that I haven't packed it. So often before a trip, the narrator dreams that he haven't packed the toothbrush, and he has to he had to go and just check it out whether he has done it or not, because this small item, he just keep forgetting about his toothbrush. And once he get confused about the toothbrush, he even realizes it he even sees in dream, or he even sees in dream that where he has not packed his toothbrush. And once he realized that he did not pack his toothbrush, he wake up with perspiration. Means what? He wake up with fear and perspiration. Perspiration means P-E-R-S-P-I-R-A-T-I-O-N. P-E-R-S-P-I-R-A-T-I-O-N. Perspiration means sweating. Once, if you get nightmare, if you have any nightmare, or if you have any bad dreams, you wake up scared, and you have sweat all over your body, right? This sweat means perspiration. Perspiration means sweat. And get out of the bed and dream. Get out of the bed and hunt for it. So as soon as he dreams that he did not pack his toothbrush, he wake up in fear, and he goes and check out whether he had packed the toothbrush or not. And in the morning he again packed his toothbrush before using the toothbrush. We will see that. And in the morning I packed it before I have used it, and have to unpack it again and get it. See, this small toothbrush makes his life very complicated, right? Just not to miss the packing of the toothbrush, he become very conscious, right? He remains very conscious, but ultimately it seems that he missed packing the toothbrush, and ultimately he gets into trouble just because of the toothbrush. So in the morning he packs the toothbrush before brushing the teeth, and then he unpacks it, then he brushes the teeth, and what do happen after? He forget to pack the toothbrush once again. Then what happens? It is always the last thing I turn out of the bag, and then repack it and forget it, and have to rush upstairs for it at the last moment and carry it to the railway station wrapped up in my pocket handkerchief. So in the morning he have to unpack his bag to brush his teeth, to take out the toothbrush and brush his teeth, and then he forgets the toothbrush in the bathroom. So while he departs, or the moment he gets ready to depart for the railway station, he realized again that he had forgotten the toothbrush. So he rushed upstairs. Now what is upstairs? Suppose this is a stair. Moving up is upstairs, moving down is downstairs. Going up, upwards the stair is upstairs and down is downstairs. So his bathroom is on the perhaps on the first floor or second floor, above the ground floor. So he rushed to upstairs, where he had kept his toothbrush, and grabs it, and since the time is very short there, he had to catch the train and the railway station. So he just do what? He take out his handkerchief and wrap the toothbrush and keep it in his pocket. Now wrapped, W-R-A-P, wrap you know very well. Wrap means wrap means a cover. To cover something is wrapping, right? To cover something, the chocolate comes in plastic wrappers or wrap, or you cover anything is wrapping. Wrapping means cover. All right. Now coming again to the plot of the chapter. Of course, I had to turn everything out, of course, and I could not find it. Now, in order to satisfy his, in order to ensure whether toothbrush is in the luggage or not, he does what? He again unpacks the bag. First we see, he packs the bag, then Harris comes and he reminds him to pack the boots. He again unpacks it, he again packs the boot, and now just because he has a delusion that he has a confusion that he did not pack his toothbrush, he unpacks the bag again just to make sure whether the toothbrush is packed or not. I rummaged the things up into much the same state they must have been before the world was created and chaos reigned. Rummaged, R-U-M-M-A-G-E-D. Rummage means what? To scatter things up or to make a mess, to create a mess. So he started what? He started to unpack the bag again and started to look for his toothbrush. No, there was chaos, there was a mess everywhere with the things that was packed in the bag. Of course, I found George and Harris's toothbrush 18 times over, but I could not find my own. So he looked for his toothbrush, but he did not find his own toothbrush, whereas he found George and Harris's toothbrush over 18 times. See, his fear was becoming a reality, that he is looking for his toothbrush and he could not find them. So later on, what did he do? I put the things back one by one and held everything up and shook it. Then I found it inside a boot. I repacked once more. Now he started to turn every article in the bag and started to turn it upside down, look every nook and corner of the bag, and started to look for his toothbrush, and ultimately he found the toothbrush inside one of his boot that he packed inside the boot. Now he is very much exhausted and he is tired due to packing. If we take a look at the chapter, we see that the narrator was packing the bag alone, whereas his friend George and Harris were looking at him, were observing him, were not offering him and helping hand, and they were enjoying the misery of the narrator. And we also saw that Harris also made fun of his misery while he pointed out for the while he asked him to pack the boot. Now he find the toothbrush and he repacked the bag once, and he repacked the bag once more. When I had finished, George asked if the soap was in. I said I did not care whether the soap was in or not. I slammed the bag and strapped it and found that I had packed my front door keys in it, and I had to reopen it. Now, so once we see that we have already seen once that Harris had made fun of narrator. Now it's time for George to make fun. So once the toothbrush was found and he was about to pack the bag once again, now it's time for George to make fun. He said what? He came and asked him, "Oh, mister, did you pack the soap?" Now the narrator was out of patience right now. Now he did not bother, or he did not care whether he has packed the soap or not, because if he tried to look for soap again, he had to reopen it again and had to pack the bag again, and that is a quite hectic job. That was a very tiring job. But so he decided that he don't care whether he had packed the soap or not. He slammed, S-L-A-M-M-E-D, slammed, S-L-A-M-M-E-D. Slam means what? To shut down something with might or force. Means what? To close something with force, right? If somebody is angry, we see that they shut the window or door with force, right? Or bag. This is called slamming. Now, in the last moment, the narrator realized he did another mistake. What mistake he did? He had packed the keys of the front door and had to reopen the bag. First, he did not pack the boots. He had to reopen the bag and he had to pack the boot. Secondly, he was in a confusion whether he had packed the toothbrush or not. He had to again reopen the bag. Again, he had to pack it. And thirdly, he did one more mistake. That is what? He packed the keys of the front door. He kept the keys of the front door inside the bag. So now he had to unpack the bag again and he had to search for the keys again. So we can imagine how pathetic was the condition of the narrator. He was doing the packing all alone and his friends were laughing at him. His friends were, having fun at the misery. Alright, he unpacked the bag again, found the keys and repacked the bag. So finally, I got it shut finally at 10 o'clock at night and then the hampers remained. So by 10 o'clock at night, the suitcase or the luggage was packed. So narrator's job was done. He finally had his sigh of relief. Now it's time for the hamper. Any word? Hamper. H-A-M-P-E-R. What is a hamper? Hamper is a basket where we keep certain things. So they pack the bag which contains their clothes, their toiletries or their cosmetics and their essential items, and the hamper contained the food and the utensil and other basic things for cooking. Now since the narrator Jerome had put all his effort, was exhausted on packing the bag alone, now it's time for George and Harris to pack the hamper. Harris thought he and George had better do them. I agreed and sat down and they had to go. Now George and Harris, they decided that they would pack the hamper since the narrator was quite exhausted. So he agreed, okay, you guys do the packing of the hamper. Let me sit back and relax because he is already tired of packing the bag. Now it's time for the narrator to sit back, relax and enjoy the misery of his friend George and Harris as they did while the narrator was packing the bag. I looked at the pile of the plates and cups and kettles and bottle and jar and pies and stove and cake and tomatoes, etc., and felt that the thing would soon become exciting. Now all the items needed to be packed inside the hampers were kept in pile. Pile means P-I-L-E, pile. Pile means a bundle or a stock, or when something is kept in a large quantity, it forms a we can say kind of hill-like structure, right? Bundle-like structure. So this bundle is known as pile. So everything was kept in a pile. Now the articles that are needed to be packed were plates, cup, kettle, bottle, jars, pies, stove, cakes and tomatoes and etc., of course. And now it's time for the narrator to sit back and it's time for George and Harris to pack. And now narrator said, you guys have enjoyed my misery while packing the bag. Now it's my turn to enjoy your miseries while packing the hamper. So he, in his mind, in the mind of narrator, was already there that soon the things is going to be interesting and exciting. Now how it's going to be exciting, we will see. And of course the things started to become exciting and funny for the narrator. But of course it was not funny for George and Harris. It did. They started with breaking a cup. So the first mistake while packing the hamper they did was they broke a cup. Yeah, they broke a cup. So this shows, okay, we'll get back into later on. So the first mistake they did is they broke a cup. And now the narrator was enjoying their misery. That was the first thing they did. Then Harris packed the strawberry jam on top of a tomato and squashed it, and they had to pick out the tomato with a tablespoon. So the first mistake that George and Harris did, they broke a cup, and secondly they did what? They took a jar of strawberry jam and put it right on top of tomatoes, and the weight of the jar has squashed the tomato inside the hamper, and the hamper became messy. So they did what? They took a tablespoon and took out the tomato out of the hamper, so that it doesn't get messy and it doesn't smell bad, right? So the narrator was enjoying all this view. So this shows that how George and Harris were amateur, or were not quite good or quite experienced in packing. That means what? They were really terrible at packing. And then it was George's turn. He trod on the butter. After he had got it off his slipper, they tried to put in the kettle. One word, trod. T-R-O-D. Trod means to step into something. Now what did George do? George trod on the butter. He stepped on the butter, and the butter got stuck below or beneath his slipper. Butter got stuck below his slipper. And then they did what? They tried to put the got into the slipper. They tried to put in the kettle and wouldn't go in, and they wouldn't come out, and what was in wouldn't come out. They did scrape it out at last and put down in a chair. So they took out the butter from the slipper of George, and they tried to put the butter inside the kettle, but it seemed that the kettle was too small for the butter. So they pulled the butter out of the kettle, and so they did not have any place to store the butter. So they did what? For the time being, they kept the butter on the chair. So they decided so that later on they could adjust the butter somewhere. And they kept the butter on the chair. And the fool Harris, what did he do? Without noticing, he sat on it, and it stuck to him, and they went looking it for all around. Now Harris did what? He sat on the butter that was that they kept on the chair, and the butter now, first of all, it stuck under the slipper of George. Now the butter is stuck under the slipper, on the back of Harris, and the Harris back. He sat on the chair, and the butter got stuck on Harris' back. Now Harris stood up, and the butter remained attached to Harris' back. And when they started to look for the butter, and to their surprise, the butter was no longer there, and they started to look for butter everywhere. "I'm telling you, I put it down on the chair," said George, staring at the empty seat. So when George was looking for the butter, and he looked at the chair, but he did not find the butter, and he was telling to Harris, "I'm telling you, brother, that I kept the butter over on the chair, but now it seems missing. Where did the butter go?" Do they know? They don't. But we readers, we know where the butter actually is. Then they started to look around the room again, looking for it, and then they met again in the center of the so now they started to look all over the room. They started to look in every nook and corner of the room to find the butter, but alas, they did not find the butter. And after looking the whole room, they did what? They finally met in the center of the room, because none of them could get their hands on butter. None of them could find the butter. Then meet again. The most astonishing thing ever I heard of, said George. Now George is very much surprised, astonishing. A-S-T-O-N-I-S-H-I-N-G. Astonishing means what? George was very much surprised, because he himself kept the butter on the chair, and now there was no butter. He was so surprised. It was one of the most surprising thing he had ever seen, right? So mysterious, said Harris. And Harris also added to George, "Yeah, it's so surprising that we kept the butter, we saw the butter on the chair, but it's now no longer here. Where did it go? It's really a mystery." Then George got around and back of the Harris and saw it. So then George did what? He went on the back of the Harris. He turned around and he went in the back of the Harris. Why here it was all the time? He exclaimed. Now he became annoyed. Harris, he said to Harris that we were looking in the whole room for the butter, and where did I find butter at last? It was stuck in your bag the whole time. Why was the butter here? Because you fool, you sat on the chair without noticing the butter, and all the time it was stuck in your bag and you did not even notice, neither do I. Harris was surprised. He tried to look back and see where the butter was, but he could not see. What? Let me see where the butter is. But obviously it's quite difficult to see one's own back. So now George said, you stop moving, let me take the butter out. You stand still. Still means to stand or to remain without moving. So Harris remained still. George took out the removed the butter from his bag and took it out, and they packed the butter at the teapot, inside the teapot, and the packing was finally done at 12:50 midnight. 12:50 night, the packing was finally done. So while they were facing trouble with butter, George and Harris, they were facing trouble with butter, the narrator was sitting in the room and he was enjoying the misery and the trouble that George and Harris were facing, as they did while the narrator was facing the problem. So this chapter is all about three friends who were facing a lot of trouble for packing, trouble due to packing for their trip. They faced a lot of the trouble because none of their friends were good at packing, because they were terrible at packing. They did not know, they were not good at packing, and they faced trouble. And here we see one friend is enjoying the trouble of another friend, and they were pulling each other's leg. So with this, the chapter packing for the trip came to an end. Now the next chapter we are talking about is a poem which is included in your syllabus. The poem is about a mythical creature or a mythical creature or a fairy, that is the Tooth Fairy. If you see a lot of cartoons, animations or Disney movies, I'm sure you are well aware of what a tooth fairy does, right? It's a belief among small kids around the world, that kids around the world who believe in those mythical creatures, that kids believe that as soon as they lose their teeth, the tooth fairy comes at night, she takes the teeth or tooth with her, and she leaves a gift for them. Especially it may be a coin, right? They believe it as such. It's the belief of a small kid. They believe it. This is similar to Santa Claus. They believe that Santa Claus give them Christmas present. So basically, kids, it's a major belief of kids of Christianity religion. Those who are the kids who are Christian, they believe it mostly. All right, and this so let me read out the poem to you at first, then we'll discuss it line by line or stanza by stanza. When the tooth fairy heard you lost a tooth, do you know what she did? She made a map to visit you cause you are a special kid. First she got your home address and checked for a fairy map. Then she flew to your place where she saw your brand new gap. Of course, she took your worn out tooth just like she has always done, but she's left you something nice instead to help you have some fun. Let's read out the first stanza again. When tooth fairy heard you lost a tooth, you know what she did? She made a map to visit you cause you are a special kid. So when tooth fairy came to know, after all she is a fairy, she knows what goes on around, right? When she knows, when she come to know that you lost a teeth or tooth, you lost a tooth, she did what? She made a map. She made a map so that she can visit your home. Now, how she made a map? She is a fairy after all. She will have a magic wand. She will swirl it around and make a map. She made a map so that she can visit your house at night. And why she want to visit your house at night? We'll know it in the later part of the poem. First, she got your home address. Now, first she collect your, in order to visit your home, she did what? She collected your home address and checked for a fairy map. And she checked the map she had, the fairy map she had. She checked for your home address. She locates your home address in her magical fairy map. Then she flew to your place where she saw your brand new gap. So then, after finding your home address on her magical fairy map, she flew to your home at night and she saw your brand new gap. Gap here, gap means what? Suppose, sorry, let me explain it to you. Whenever you lose a tooth, what do happen? There is gap in your teeth, right? So, yeah, the gap looks odd or the gap looks kind of funny on kid, but you know there is a gap, right? So, she see your brand new gap. So, you very recently the kid have lost his teeth or tooth and there is a gap here. So, she notices the gap due to loss of the tooth. Of course, she took your worn out tooth. So, she do what? She takes your worn out tooth. Now, from where did she take your worn out tooth? So, kid believe that the tooth you lost, the tooth they lose, they keep under their pillow at night. So, for the tooth fairy to come and take it. Why do tooth fairy take it? So that she can leave for them a nice gift. Of course, she took your worn out tooth just like she always done. Tooth fairy always take the tooth of the new worn out tooth or broken tooth, but she left you something nice instead to help you have some fun. So what she did, she gave you in return of your tooth, she gave you something nice, a gift. It may be a coin or it may be something, a gift, just like Santa used to do. So she will take your worn out tooth and she will leave a gift for you so that you can have fun. So the kids of Christianity believe that when they lose their teeth, they keep it under their pillow so that at night the tooth fairy will come and she will take the tooth and leave a nice gift for you instead of that tooth, right? She collects those tooth in her own magical fairyland. So with this, the poem has ended. You read the poem nicely in your home, you read the chapter nicely so that you can have a better reading skills. So this chapter came to an end. So if you have any question, please mention in the comment section below, and do subscribe to Al Hira National School and click the bell icon so that you never miss a notification. That's it. Good day. Take care. Thank you.